What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to QVO Games. My name is Juan. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Today we're going to be doing a Kickstarter preview of Cytress by Sean Lee. Putting this box down now, just keep in mind, please keep in mind that this is all just a prototype and this can be subject to change during the life cycle of the game, or maybe changes that might come later with the components, of course. All prototype components. These are going to be acrylic stand, each from my understanding from the Kickstarter. And yeah, things are definitely going to be changing. Keep that in mind. Today we're just going to go over the game itself, some overviewing, and of course to mention that there are 3 days left for the Kickstarter to be finished and done with. Who knows if this game's coming to retail, but if you want to pick up the game, they're open for 3 more days. 3 more days, and that's 72 hours. Probably less now by the time you have this, see this video. Keep that in mind. Excellent. So let's get started right away, yeah? Cytress is a cyberpunk style board game with a lot of different mechanics involved. It's a little bit of area control, a little bit of asymmetry, a lot of engine building, and that's kind of that's the 3 main ones that I see. There's probably a couple more, but those are the 3 main ones that are prevalent to the game for me at least. Cool. So Cytress itself is going to be a place where you go, and there is a place called Stratos, and Stratos is where you want to send your faction or your gang members to. And when they get there, it's going to be in this section here. This is supposed to be stacked up in layers. However, for the sake of the video, kept it just this way. That's going to be level 1 of Stratos, level 2, level 3. That's where the rich and wealthy live, right, in Stratos, and they are very explicitly not liking to the people of the underbelly, which is Earth. Underbelly is going to be this whole area here, basically. Your goal of the game is to send your gang members up there, or your faction members, I keep saying gang members, your faction members up there, to start spreading influence or control out there as well, being more part of the rich and wealthy, I guess. And yeah, this is going to be the underbelly, the Stratos is up there. That's your goal. You're basically a gang leader, and the game finishes when you have all the tubes. When all the tubes are gone, there's about 7 of these tubes per person, and when all the tubes are out, that's when the game's over. So 7 for 2 players. It's a 7. It's up to 5 players. So it can be a long game, honestly. But as long as everyone's paying attention, which is mostly in every game, you will actually get through the game pretty quickly. So, going over the game a little bit more. So you're looking what you're seeing here about the game itself. So here is going to be your player board, or not your player board, it's going to be like more your character, I guess, or the person you're playing. This is where the asymmetry comes. They do have 5 different players, and each player plays a little bit different. Not plays differently, but they have different skills already involved, so they can help you shape up your strategy a little more. As you're going through and playing the game, you're collecting life paths by going and doing different missions for different factions. Your life path is going to be your engine. I'll get more into those a little bit later. We're just going to go a little bit of the basics so you kind of get a little bit of overview of what's going on. This is going to be your player board, your resource tracker, as well as your round tracker, how to score, which is actually really helpful. This is actually really good because it's easier to not have to remind somebody or retell somebody. They can look here on their player board and inform themselves of asking that question. Gets the game going a lot faster without asking so many questions. Over here is going to be the underbelly. The underbelly is going to have different factions and places where you go to spread your influence or do missions. For example, we have the Corporal District, the Privateers, this is going to be the Hooligans, and the Rover District. Each one has a specific thing. So, for example, this is going to be your credits, place where you go to get more credits, to gain more tech, to gain more weapons, and to gain more drugs. This down here is going to be a place where you go for, you go here for meeting the Fixer, and meeting the Merchant, or completing bounties. So, this is going to be where you meet the Merchant. You do that by exchanging goods here. You can exchange goods here, collect your bounties here from different factions, and here you can exchange resources at a specific ratio. Very important thing about the game is going to be the market here. It's a really, really good way to gain a lot of resources really fast. Just keep that in mind. Up top here is the Stratolites, or the Net Prowler was his name. It's going to be up here. You have 2 different spots to go with your little car vehicle. So if you look here, your cars can go to all those locations. Very self-explanatory, which is very helpful while playing the game. This left one's going to basically mean you get an extra action, and you have to follow one of these specific conditions here to be able to put a tube in here for the area control portion of the game and to get into Stratos. Right here on the right is going to be just pay so much resources to build them. 18 for a 3, 13 for a 2, and 5 for a 1. That's what it was, 5 for a 1. So, here's your area control portion of the game. Every time you go out to visit a faction, for example, if I go here, you're going to grab your mission card, add it to your life path, and you're going to be able to put one of your cubes on the board here to start controlling the location, to start getting control of different spots or locations. When you surround a set of tubes with your faction members, you're going to be able to, well, once you have them on the board, actually, you're going to be able to build, by going here, you're going to be able to build a tube, right? Replace one of your faction members with it, and if they're surrounding the faction, if your faction members surround the tube, they control the tube, which gets you points at the end of the game. Different ways to get points: surrounding the factions, having a bunch of resources, going to Stratos is another one, and just having members in Stratos, and your skills and your bounties. Skills are interesting because I find them not to be too useful within the game. And actually, from the 12 games we played with different games, I played with 3 or 4 with each different game group, with about 4 different game groups. I played 3 games with almost each game group. And we noticed that skills aren't really all that helpful. By the time you have enough to collect a skill, yeah, it's like a little bit extra, 3 more points, but you already are too deep into your life path that the effect that you get -1 for going and doing any mission with this specific term up top left, which is like terminate sabotage type of mission, basically. But that's the thing, and you also have bounties, which also have a negative effect on you. So it kind of like begs to differ of if it's even worth doing bounties. Is it even viable to do this and not that strategy, or do more of this and a little bit of that? It's interesting because every time we played, whoever manipulated the market the most by collecting these pink life paths, they ended up actually winning. So how does that work, the life paths, right? So you have your yellow life paths, which you collect from the Corporate District. Those yellow life paths are going to get you your resources on phase 1. There's 4 phases. You gain supplies. You influence with your leader, which is this little standee here. You travel through Cytress doing missions, which is going to be with your little cars. And then the 4th one, you just restart. You refresh, basically. Excellent. So privateer life paths. The next one is privateer life paths, right? With these, essentially, is going to be get your resources depending on where everyone goes. So if people go to the Brewery District and you have a lot of drugs here, if they visit there during phase 2, you gain a portion. You gain some of the resources here as well. This one right here is going to be one of the craziest ones. Depending on your ratio, depending on how many weapons you have or tech you added to your life path, which you collect from visiting here with your car, doing the missions here, you can actually multiply that with the merchants here, which is actually a very, 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 very good way to gain a lot of resources very fast. You do have to waste of action to go here, of course, but it is a viable way to go there and just gain a bunch of resources. It's probably one of the best methods right now that I noticed of winning the game. Right here is going to be your hooligan life path, which is basically a discount for visiting different places. So, for example, if I have 2 drugs and I go here, it's going to cost me 2 less to go there when it costs 4 normally to go there. That's actually another way. It's probably one of the best ways. That's a good way to do it, but I highly recommend the market way. Let's keep going. So your Stratos, you get 5, 10, and 15 points from going to each level. First level, second level, third level, and you can get as many of your faction members up there as possible. And the way you do that, of course, by building these tubes. A level 3 tube gets you to the 3rd level, level 2 tube gets you to the 2nd level, level 1 tube gets you to the 1st level. That's pretty much the gist of the game. That's a little bit of portion of it. I think the game's actually really accessible as well, which is really cool. The game is accessible and it's very thinky. So the game makes you think a lot about what's going on because you're playing almost 2 different games here. Building your life path out with going to different factions and collecting your missions, as well as going into the underbelly. And the underbelly is going to be an area control game now, where when you go and do a different mission and you're trying to place a faction member into the underbelly, you have to also keep in mind that when you're building that, you're going to have to start building tubes eventually, and if you build tubes in the wrong sections, other players can now have control over that tube, giving them points. And that has happened to me in, I think, a lot of the games I played, where I'm building and people are just sticking with me. It's like, get away. Like, they're just sticking and putting guys all around me because they know if I build on that spot, which I'm going to have to because the only way you can build is if you have a little faction member there to replace it. Replace the faction member with the tube because he has moved up. The only way to do it is going to be it's actually, there's no only way. It just gets really interesting because you have to be playing. It's like a big old mind game, and of course reading everyone else's, like, what are they doing next, what are they doing next. It always happens. I think the game plays best at 4, 5 players. At 3 there's a lot of back and forth, between the three. Like there's either a gang up on the arena section of things where they're playing against, where everyone's just like building around one person, and that person now kind of a little bit screwed over. So I think at 4 or 5, it's a little more balance of everyone just does their own thing or has a little bit more involvement. If you want more player interaction, definitely it's 2 players, 3 players, specifically 3 players. This is set up for a 2-player game. The more players you have, the more boards, and the boards themselves are also before front and back. It's just the pattern changes a little bit, nothing too groundbreaking. There's also different variations of the game as well for 3 players, 4 players, 3 players and 4 to 5 players, 4 plus players. So the boards all flip and change, which is good. That means there's a little bit more of a balance with each game, which is really, really good. Yeah, the game itself the game is really fun. It's a lot of fun. It's easy to put on the table, like I said, easy to play, easy to teach as well. Once you get it on the first round, and the games can go really fast. For a game that has a lot of thinking behind it, the game plays fairly quick, and that's actually one of the things I like the most about the game. The game plays fast. The next thing is that the game's actually pretty affordable for like a low level pledge. It's like $59 US, I believe, after the transaction change. Correct me on that if I'm wrong, of course, and definitely go check it out for yourself. So for being only that much, I mean, the game comes with a pretty good amount. This is, like I said, this is just a prototype copy. So the finished components, I'm sure, are going to be acrylic standees, which are it's not bad at all. They look really nice. And honestly, for the game itself, you don't really require too much look. The game itself has a lot of presence. The game stacks up in 3 levels, and the table presence is immenseful. It's really, really, really cool. I really like that about the game. That's a little bit of overview about the game. Let me know if you're back in the game or if you're really interested in this game, and maybe I'll do more coverage as well for you. Let me know what you think. I still have the prototype copy with me, so if you want to hear more, understand more, we can definitely do that. If you have any questions or concerns, definitely ask me, DM me, email me or something, or comment, and I'll have Sean Lee reach out and I'll ask some questions as well, just for the sake of getting you answers. Let me know what you think about the game. Comment, like, subscribe if you want to. If not, thank you for being here. I appreciate it for making it even this far to the video. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.